too. Greetings. Actually, where I don't know what happened. Okay. For those of you who are joining, let me know if I can be heard. I actually
You have a father, he becomes a father.
I actually found myself on a different page moving around. So if you are joining me, greetings, greetings. I am glad that you're here. Shalom, shalom. Ignore all of the the stumbles at the beginning. Thank you for letting me know that I am loud and clear. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time out in the middle of the day, too. I am going to be honest, there is a lot happening. Oh my goodness. So, but we're going to get through it. That's for sure, sure, sure. I am just going to jump on to my Instagram and go live there too, just so that I could connect with everyone at the same time. Um,
You have a father.
all right. So today I actually wanted to go live during our midday motivation sessions and actually get down to the nitty gritty of sugars, right? And I know, I know we talked a little bit about the ideas around ketosis and just how the body works with sugars and carbs and so on. But I kept thinking about how easy it has been for us to slip into um, using sugar substitutes, right? Because we all want a little sweet, right? Sweetness is like a little hug, right? Let me see. Who likes a little hug every now and again? A little hug from sweet. But there's so many different types of sugar alternatives and substitutes out there. So many. And I think the conversation around sugar substitutes has been had over and over and over again. I just think that I think because we're melanated people, we really do have to think about the effect that it can have on us, particularly because of the heightened levels of melanin. So I certainly think that the ability to become addicted to sugars is really can be overwhelming for those of us who are melanated. Now, let's talk about greetings and shalom. Let me greet everyone. Shalom on the Instagram side to Honest Doula. You're in the space. Greetings, Jovi Dad 23. I know you saw me somewhere else a couple seconds ago. Thank you for joining us. Herbal Bush House, it is always a pleasure. Greetings. Thank you, everyone. Please check out Herbal Bush House. They have a beautiful couple of events happening, and I do think, can you put the information in the chat, please? Herbal Bush House, if you are still here with us, they have started a herbal course recently. So please, check them out, join in, and share that information with anyone who you come across. On the YouTube side, I want to greet Ima Precious and Sister Kashia and Sister Naya. Greetings, greetings. And I see we have some new sisters and we have some new applicants in the space. So I just want to welcome you in to this new stage of your experience. So no, no, scribing my light, greetings and thank you. Come on into the Sovereign Experience. This is our midday motivation. So yes, I really just wanted to touch on the ideas of sugars. I think one of the most important things to consider is the effect of certain sweeteners on our blood sugar levels, right? Blood glucose is really it makes the difference between a person who's considered pre-diabetic, diabetic, and someone who's good. And I'll say this: please pay attention to your blood sugar levels. Get yourself detailed blood work, and when you do, please scrutinize it, ask questions, research, right? Because a lot of times what's going to happen is your practitioner or your the person who offers you medical care, they're going to wait until your your levels come between a certain range that gives off a red flag. Don't wait until the red flag appears, because that's the problem. The problem is we don't administer to our own cells. So please do that. Be your own advocate, right? And please administer it to yourself. Make sure you're digging into any type of blood work that you do get, and in doing so you're really paying attention to the certain levels of minerals that are present. Some levels are low. When they're high, pay attention to them and make sure you're not just supplementing with pills or powders, because sometimes all those actually do is just they give you really nutrient dense urine, because a lot of it passes through the system, right? It just passes through the system because our bodies aren't always prepared properly to absorb and assimilate some of those minerals and nutrients that we take when we take supplements. So, back to the sugar conversation. So, there are a couple of artificial sweeteners that we all, it's very easy. Some of them, they're pre-packaged, so it's easy. Tear and pour. Tear and pour. Watch out. Watch out for things that are very convenient like that, because the convenience actually offers two things to the companies: it's cheap and it's stable. So those sugars are only offered to us in high amounts, again, because they're cheap and stable for the company to prepare. But they also know that they're playing off of the fact that you want something convenient. Be careful. Herbal Bushel says yes, 100% true. We wait for others to tell us what's wrong. Exactly. And your body is a unique microcosm, right? It is a unique, a matter of fact, it's a reflection of the universe. So the reality is there is a lot, it's a full network happening that's speaking to you. It is alive, and it speaks to you in so many different ways. Pay attention to it, right? Pay attention to all of those parts, and please join us very soon for more details about how the body works in all these different amazing ways, because when we listen and we pay attention to it, we're able to feed it and support it in ways that, you know, kind of puts you in a place where it's like, okay, wow, I didn't know my body could function at this optimum state of wellness. I didn't think so. All right, because many times we have things happening with us and we're like, okay, well, that's normal. It's not normal, right? It's not normal. I look at how many years I taught for a long time, and I would see children drinking milk. Um, Sometimes in the cafeteria, and everyone tells you, oh, this is going to happen to them, this will happen, and that's going to happen, so be prepared. And I'm like, why do we have to be prepared for the side effects of something that doesn't do your body good, right? Even though they say it does a body good, lies, it does not, right? We should be paying attention to those things. And when those side effects come on, we have to pinpoint what's causing it, the source of it, and cut it out. That's it. Just remove it. Remove it. Greetings. I am Ralphie 473. Big up to the 473 crew and peoples in the space. So let's get back to the idea of the cheap and the stable, right? So it's stable because it's made under controlled conditions. So whatever those sugars are, the ones that I mentioned before, the ones with the easy tear and pour in place, that's the convenience. They're playing off of the convenience, right? So it's stable because it is not a natural sugar, right? And if it's natural, then there's certain things in the environment that will affect the way a sugar functions in the body, right? So important to think about how natural sugars affect the body in various ways, whereas an artificial sweetener is created under lab conditions. It is stable. You know, we learn that within our natural environment, everything changes, right? Change is the most stable thing that we can actually identify and pinpoint. So why would I consume something that has been perfected to a stable state where it's almost like it's non-living, right? So that's something to think about. So they are stable, they're cheap because they're not natural, so they're made with of course chemicals. They're non-caloric, so I think that's why a lot of the artificial sweeteners are very, how should I say, appealing to everyone. They're appealing because they don't add calories to the body, literally 0 calories. Also, they don't affect the blood sugar level. So I get it. If it's not gonna affect your blood sugar, it's fine. But aspartame, right, that breaks down into wood alcohol. And a couple months ago, we actually had um some conversation around methanol and how methanol disrupts the metabolic function in the body. And I think we spoke about that when we were talking about toxic, I remember toxic hand sanitizers, because methanol is actually wood alcohol. So aspartame actually breaks down into methanol in the body. So we're consuming something. If you enjoy aspartame because of its convenience and how cheap it is, what you're actually doing is you're wreaking havoc on your digestive system. You're wreaking havoc on and overloading your liver, right? Because your liver has to filter all of that, and it actually leads to brain fog. So it reduces and actually affects brain cells. So watch out for aspartame. Sucralose as well too. Please be wary of it. So those are the artificial sweeteners. Then we have another group of sweeteners that are alcohol based, right? And something is alcohol based because there's that all at the end. So whenever you see like xylitol is one, maltitol is another one. And you'll see those frequently in like mints and gum. You'll see xylitol in gum a lot. Those It's really important. We can't digest that. We can't break that down. Just to let you know. So you probably sometimes you enjoy to use it, or most times it's hidden in the ingredients and we don't see it. You know, uh, an actual story, right? I am working remotely with a few students, young students. These are third graders, and we were actually deconstructing the nutritional fact labels and what that those look like. And they were in awe. They said, "Oh my gosh, Miss Pierre, are you serious? Is this how we could actually tell what's the ingredients inside the food we eat?" They were they were amazed at it because no one ever showed them, these are all the nutrients and so on that are present in a particular food, and the ingredients are there. The thing is, children children of this age want to know what they're faced with, what's in front of them, and they are probably, more than likely will be upset to understand that we certain things are hidden in foods that affect them that they don't know about. And that's just because they're curious and they just feel like they need to know everything. It has nothing to do with just wanting to be healthy. They're just offended by the fact that they don't know everything there is to know about a particular thing. So I say, if we have the ability to scrutinize labels and actually pull out and pinpoint alcohols that are sugar-based alcohols that are not wreaking havoc on the digestive system, that are not good for us, and that affect our glucose levels, right? That's the difference between those sugars. That's how they're different from the sweeteners that are artificial. They affect glucose levels. So be careful with them. But not, they don't affect glucose levels that much. But be careful with them too, because mostly they feed the pathogenic bacteria that we have. So we had this discussion before about bacteria in the gut, right? And so bacteria is not all bad, right? I mean, that's what helps break down our food. The thing is, there are some bacteria that trigger certain desires for us to want foods that are sweeter, carb dense foods, sugary foods. If you consume those alcohol based sweeteners, they're actually feeding that bacteria, and it creates a unending cycle of you wanting sweet. All right, so be good to the microbiota in your gut. Remove those particular sweeteners from your diet, and pay attention to ingredients, because they hide maltitol and xylitol in between the ingredients. Most times it's in the packets. Herbal Bush House says those packets are straight poison. Yes, they are straight poison. Stay away from them. So here are some of the toxins and poisons, and how those toxins and poisons affect the body. They disrupt neurotransmitters. That's why there are some certain research that actually shows there's a direct connection between the use of aspartame and other artificial sweeteners and dementia and other neurological disorders and other disorders that are actually connected with memory and memory loss. Um, Alzheimer's as well too. So those are things to think about, right? Because again, if you look, and I have not done that depth of research where you go to see, well, what is the time period where there was an increase in the use of those sugars, and how that affected older generations, or how it affected the memory and the minds of a particular generation. That like those are things that interest me. Those are interesting, and not just interesting because they are applicable to us and to our well-being. So that's those are questions that I have, and areas of research that are probably have not been explored as much, but by myself personally. But those are things that I'd like to explore, and I want you to explore them as well. Sister Kashia says, I appreciate this breakdown on sugar. This really helps with separating from those nagging cravings, knowing the science of it all. And there's so much more in terms of the science of sugars. There's so much more to know. And to pay attention to, because our bodies, and I am an advocate for body composition, right? Your body composition might be different, and so then it functions differently when it comes to certain sugars. And I can tell you, I'm going to share a few of the alternatives in a second, a couple minutes rather. So let me be honest about that, because I'm going to talk for another minute or two about this. But yeah, when I share those with you and you begin to explore some of them, you want to keep a little journal. You want to keep writing down how those sugars affect you, if you want to consume them at all, right? But some of the toxic side effects are, they wreak havoc on the digestive system, so your digestion pays for it. They disrupt neurotransmitters. If you feel bloating, a lot of the time it is because of the sugars, because guess what, it's the bacteria is what's actually causing the bloating. We don't just bloat because it's a long, process, in that the food we eat feeds a particular bacteria, and that bacteria produces certain gases. Those gases are actually what causes the feeling of bloatedness, because if you're bloating, it's gas, right? And if the gas is sitting there, more than likely it's gas that is unwanted and a byproduct of the bacteria feeding on some of those sugars. So just making those connections um, for you. And some of those connections are very surface, right? There's so much more to explore with it. um Destruction to the kidney, like kidney function, right? And it also has a laxative effect, so watch out for some of those alcohol sweeteners. And again, I said, like, we get accustomed to just the side effects of these things. We say, okay, that's what happens, so I'm gonna just have to deal with it. No, you don't. Take them out of your diet, remove them completely. So let's get to some of the replacements, right? Stevia is a natural replacement that you can use. Stevia can be accessed in the powder form or liquid form. You can choose. Stevia is again a natural sweetener that is the extract from a leaf, so you can use stevia. Monk fruit, I love stevia. There's always an aftertaste that you're going to have to work with, but it's really great in very flavorful shakes and smoothies. You don't get that stevia taste because of all of the other supplements and so on that you may add to your shake, and fruits and so on that you may add. Monk fruit is another substitute. Check it out. Glycerol, yes, but how should I say? Like you have to use it. I wouldn't use it in teas and shakes and so on. That's a little bit different. What are your thoughts on white stevia? Hmm. That's a good question. Why? How? That's something I don't know how white stevia differs from others, but I've seen stevia that is just the broken down leaf. So it's not bleached, it's not processed. The white stevia is highly processed. And so, and I think it's interesting that it's white because what it does is it triggers and works off of our programming, because all of us were already programmed to um the white powdery substance that we know as sugar, right? Whether it's the and it's cane sugar, but whether it's the thicker granules or finer granules, we have a program already that connects us to that. And then sugars are they're a stimulant and they're addictive too. So it doesn't take anything for the brain and the body to recognize the chemical sugar. And so I think there's also the play on the visual. In terms of white stevia, I say, you can consume it, but I think there's a lot of reducing of nutrients that the regular stevia has. And then my question is the process. And I don't know what that process is. I don't know what that process looks like for white stevia. But I do know stevia is a leaf and it's green, and you can purchase natural stevia. It has a hue that's different. Consuming the white stevia that you're referring to, more than likely that's over processed. What are your thoughts on it, Herbal Bush House? Can you please share? I might even add you to the live so that you can share, because if you're asking, maybe I want to invite you to share what your thoughts are around white stevia, please. um if there are no questions, I have one other suggestion, which is chicory root. And chicory root is really good as a sweetener. Again, I think the herbal bush house has a good question in terms of white stevia, which leads us to the idea of processed, even what's supposedly natural sweeteners, processed sweeteners. So chicory root can be overly processed sweetener as an alternative. Just try to stay away from those that are highly processed, right? Chicory actually is very dark. Chicory root is very dark, so whenever you encounter it, if it's very light, it means that it's been over processed. Um, if you pour it into water and it dissolves immediately, it's over processed. So be wary of it. Chicory root should be boil and use that extract. Now, another thing, chicory root actually has a very strong taste of coffee, right? That flavor that you get when you use coffee beans and you make coffee is very similar to chicory is very similar in flavor to coffee, and it can be very strong. So if you're not a lover of coffee or that coffee flavor or that coffee taste, stay away from it. But if you do, then chicory is an excellent substitute for those who enjoy coffee. So I'm gonna close if there are no questions or so. But for those of you who know, I am a part of the movement New Life Global Ministries, and our registration for the Anu Men and Anu Women's Ministry closed yesterday at midnight. But we want to continue to encourage you all to come over to Anu Life Global Ministries and share in our Friday readings of the Anu Way. Those readings are held by men and women of the Anu community, and they're on Thursdays as well. Today's Thursday. We always have a movie breakdown done and led by Brother Lowe, another brother from our community. So if you're into movies and films and you want the metaphysics, esoterics, the history, he does a lot of the historical timeline and breakdown with films. Join us on Enlightenment and Transformation at 7:30. Yes, and the Shema readings are at 6:30. Yes, 8:30. Pardon, I apologize. The movie breakdowns are at 8:30, and the Shema readings are at 6:30 on Friday. So, and for those of you who have applied to the Anu Men's Ministry and the Anu Women's Ministry, welcome to Anu. Just stay glued to your phones. You will get an update, you'll get an email that will invite you to a Q&A session, and an interview, and you'll learn more about that in the email. Just be vigilant. Peace and power to you all. Thank you for joining me. This midday motivation lasted much longer than I wanted it to, but I love sharing space and time with you all. Thank you for sharing space and time with me. Peace and power to you all.